Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Subrata Sarkar. I'm a mechanical engineer working in manufacturing industry more than 22 years. Today, I'll be discussing a subject named NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. By category, the subject comes under advanced communication. I'm not talking about the electronic communication. It comes under verbal and non-verbal communication, some advanced stages. Now, to make understand this subject, I will give some example. Then it will be easy to understand what the subject talks about. For example, say a Hindu is programmed to believe in life after death. In the same way, a Christian or a Muslim is programmed to believe in heaven and hell, isn't it? The same way, a terrorist is programmed to be believed in worry of killing. And the same way, a poor man is programmed to believe in his fate. So I think so neuro-linguist, in the same way, if we give another example, say a communist is programmed to rag against Congress or BJP, and the vice versa if we talk about the Indian political context. So basically, there are a lot of input actually framed inside our brain, and we behave and think accordingly. So this is the area actually the subject neuro-linguistic programming is addressing. Now, what does mean neuro in neuro-linguistic programming? What it stands for meaning? Neuro means basically the thinking pattern, the code experienced by your brain. Your thinking affects the experience in your brain, inside your brain. And we talk about the linguistic means using persuasive languages, understanding the mind's language, understanding the body languages, etc. And programming, neuro-linguistic programming means creating and improving your thinking strategy depending on the situation, and using your thought pattern to get the desired result, and for using the scale to resolve the problems actually. So neuro-linguistic programming is basically ability to discover and change the way we need to communicate in order to achieve a specified outcome. So depending on the situation, your strategy of thinking and the communication will change so that you can get the desired result. This is all about actual neuro-linguistic programming. Now, we all know that there are basically 5 sensory organs of all of ours. Number 1 is the eyes. That is the person that is called the visual category people. Then the ear, that is those who are ear is more what is the leading. Then the auditory people, and there are 3 more sensory organs. One is the touching, that is the tactile. One is the nose, that is the olfactory. One is the tongue, that is gustatory. So the tactile, olfactory, gustatory, these 3 categories together called kinesthetic, and auditory by ear and visual by eyes. So either of the 3 actually will be your somebody's natural preferred the leading sensory actually. At any point of time, people have all the sensation, but one of the things, either a person will be visual or an auditory or a kinesthetic, whether male or female, and whatever be the level in the society actually, irrespective, people have to will be either of the 3 category. Now, if there is the purpose of learning of this subject is, if you can identify some person, what is the category of the person, whether it is a visual person, whether it is an auditory person, whether it is a kinesthetic person, then it will be easier for you to communicate with the person to get the desired result or make the good relationships actually. If you don't know computer, if you don't know physics and mathematics, doesn't matter to life actually. But if you have knowledge on this subject, neuro-linguistic programming, life will be much more easier for you, in practical life actually, social life everywhere, professional life, personal life everywhere. Now, how we can identify the people in our 3 categories? Say, visual people means they prefer to see, other than prefer to, they don't prefer to, hear actually. Picture is a word for them actually. Even say somebody is giving some lecture, they cannot remember all these every small things actually. Instead, somebody showing some picture, they can get everything actually. And they are always interested on the visual things rather than the writing or something. And there are typical words actually also using. There are people who are by nature visual person. They will be using some words like picture, it appears, outlook. I observe this, I notice this, I watch this, I want to see the overview, I like to see it. So these are the visual type of the words when people are using most of the time. This is one of the clue that the person may be visual actually, but there are other ways to cross checking actually. In the same way, the auditory people actually, they prefer to hear, don't prefer to. So in this way, you'll find the person who are auditory by nature, many times you'll find that they avoid eye contact. But in the same way, the visual people is always keep good eye contact actually. So like some in colleges or in offices, somebody is giving some lecture or talks. Those are auditory person, they can easily remember each and every word what the person is speaking. They don't need to even take notes actually. Sometimes they also read something loudly. So these are the feature of the auditory people. And they are also using typical word like it sounds like that, I hear this, I mention this, I encore this, you should listen this, you should be more vocal, what is your report, you should say this. So these are the words, typical words used by the auditory people. And kinesthetic people are basically, they prefer to touch, instead listen or seeing actually. You'll find in many places people just to talk with you or to communicate something, they touch your body actually anywhere without any bad intention, I'm saying, because this is their category actually. They prefer to touch than to speak than to hear actually. So when you find that without any reason some person is touching you, but that can be communicated without touching also. So that is a very huge possibility that the person is by nature is a kinesthetic. And there is there's a training actually on this subject to get mastering or skill on this subject, technicality on this subject. This is called Neuro Linguistic Programming Certification. So also I did this NLP certification years back actually, and it helps a lot in it's a really very effective subject. Other than this, these visual words and all these things, there is the eyes are very important actually, and eyes are, you all know, the eyes are interconnected with our brain actually. So there are three things. Sometimes when you talk with the person, you notice very carefully, you'll find that eyes balls are, sometimes it goes, both the eyeball goes left, both the eyeball goes right. Sometimes you'll find that for some reason both the eyeball is going upward or these upward directions, and sometimes you'll find that eyeballs are going bottom left or bottom right actually, both the eyeball together actually. Automatically people cannot control it. By that you can get a lot of other information actually. The person whose eyes are going upward either in left or in the right directions, this person are in a visual nature in normal way. And if these in left directions, the person is recalling the picture at the time, and if it is the right directions, the person is creating some picture actually. And picture is a language for them. And for the auditory people, when you'll find that both the eyes on the left side, then it's recalling the sounds or the words. And when they're both the right side, you'll find the person is creating sounds actually. And for the kinesthetic people, will find that some people are talking with you, both the eyes on the bottom left or both the eyeballs are on the bottom right. So if it is on bottom left, then talking themselves actually, and if it is the bottom right, then some feeling is there inside of them actually. That is the reflection. You'll find the real life picture. Here you can see both the eyes on the upward side, and the visual recalling, you find another picture. So this is actually reality. But what does it signify? Many people doesn't know. If both the eyeballs are going upward in right direction, what does it mean? Many people doesn't know actually. I'm sure more than 95% people doesn't know. Even you'll find that More than 90% people doesn't know what is the subject neuro-linguistic programming. But this is a life skill subject. If you know this subject, life will be much more easier actually. But at the same time, you'll find that some people, this is technically called lying eyes. You'll find that when talking to the people, neither their eyes are going left or right or top or bottom, Actually, they have a little more, special way of skill actually by controlling their, feelings or something they don't allow to display. This is another skill actually. So these are called, lying eyes. So you need to catch on the other features to identify the person at the time. Those who are very trained on this subject NLP, they can control up to a certain extent actually. And when I did this certification, that is a test actually. Like some people, whether you are really visual person or anesthetic or auditory person, you may misguide your trainer or somebody. So there is a machine, what I say, equipment, that is a camera shot of things that will be fitted on your forehead, and that will take focus on your eyes, and you will be allowed to do anything you like, say doing work, going somewhere, and automatically your eyes ball movement will be captured on the camera in visual or in a still mode. Then what is your actual nature preference, whether it is a visual person, whether it is an auditory person, whether it is a kinesthetic person, that can be identified. So this is a very, very scientific subject, very important subject is a life skill subject actually. And as per the statistics, 25% people in the whole world, including male and families, are auditory people, and 35% people are visual people, and 40% people in the whole world is a kinesthetic people. So I think by going to this presentation, now you are in a position to identify yourself, what is your natural preference, whether you are a visual person, whether you're a kinesthetic person, whether you're an auditory person. And that's not the end actually. What is your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, whether what is their category, what is your bosses in the offices or other people connected with you. If you can identify what is their category actually, visual, auditory and kinesthetic, life will be much more easier for you. So if you find this presentation is interesting, you can share with your friends, and if you have not yet subscribed my YouTube channel, you can subscribe my YouTube channel by clicking on this bell icon. You can get notification for my future presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.